What's up, guys? It is Brad with College SportsCast, and we are here to do week 23 of our game day pick'ems for you guys. All right, guys, welcome back. It is Brad with College Sportscast. I have John Hammonds on with me tonight. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, man?
We hanging in there this week, I reckon. So we had a rough one on Tuesday night as a Kentucky fan, and so we're hanging in there this week. Got another road game coming up. We will get to that game towards the end here of our game day pick'ems. But first, want to talk to you about home field apparel. And I noticed John has one of his shirts on tonight with a Houston Phi Slamma Jamma. So I want to talk to you about that for a second. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Use our code CSCast to get a 15% discount. There's a bunch of cool, like old-time throwback shirts, just like what he has on. Slamma Jamma was like 82, 83, 84. So we're talking a long time ago. Throwback teams, they have some cool logos and mascots. There's over 180 teams to choose from. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Use our code CSCast to get some really cool vintage premium collegiate apparel. John's liking his shirt. What do you think about it, John? It's a pretty cool shirt, right?
Pretty neat. And this shirt was actually a Christmas present from one of the bracket guys that does a lot of bracketology and breaks down teams, which is T3 Bracketology. Shout out to T. If you don't follow him on Twitter, it's T3 Bracketology. He does a really good job. There's so many others out there that do great bracketology, not just him. There's 801, there's NYY Bracket. So if you ain't following those guys, follow them. They do a really good job, especially during college basketball season.
I agree. So real quick, I just want to jump into some news real quick before we do anything else. And that's because as of yesterday, Jim Harbaugh is no longer the coach at Michigan. He is the head coach now of the San Diego Chargers. Now, I want to jump into it just for a second here. That means that 3 of the 4 teams that made the college football playoff have coaching changes since January the 10th, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Nick Saban retired. Washington head coach Kalen DeBoer goes to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
They have a switch. And now Michigan is having a switch, and they are hiring the guy that filled in for Harbaugh.
Yeah.
The OC.
Sharon Moore.
Yep, Sharon Moore. And that's who they are hiring. They have already announced they're going to try their best to keep the staff together as much as possible. And they are promoting Shamar Moore that you were just talking about.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that in there, kind of get to that. It's pretty big news for college football. So, all right, looks like we got a couple of people on with us here.
Oh, my boy Zach's on here.
Yeah.
Oh, Zach from the group chat.
Yeah. That's who it is.
Yep, that's Zachy, boy.
Yep. He is with NKY bracketology and doing some stuff too as well. So just to give you guys a heads up, they do some great stuff. Check them out. All right. So we'll get to our pick'ems. I've got 10 games for us picked out this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to have a little bit of fun at the end with the Kentucky game and some player props from Kentucky players. Since we are Kentucky fans, we'll have a little bit of fun with that at the end. But we're going to start with these are all Saturday games. So these will be played tomorrow. And the first one we're going to talk about tonight is Kansas State goes to Houston. Houston's a 15.5-point favorite in this game at home. K-State's been playing better.
They have. But the thing is, I don't think Kansas State really has an advantage here. You know, two of their best players, I feel like, are undersized in Carter and Perry. You know, Houston matches up with them with Cryer, Shed, and they got Roberts in the middle. You know, Houston is undefeated at home this year. You know, they're both 4-2 in league play. The Cougars can run up the score and blow opponents out, and then they can have games like they had at Hilton Coliseum where they just don't hit anything. Houston's hit or miss a lot of times offensively. You just don't know what you're going to get with them. But at the end of the day, I think Houston wins this game. Kansas State is just not the team that they was a year ago. Now they're good, but they don't have a Marquise Noel. They don't have those kind of stable guys. You know, like what was the transfer from Florida?
Johnson.
Johnson. They just don't have those stable players this year to compete in the Big 12. But they're good, but they won't be good tomorrow.
They've been playing a heck of a lot better, and I kind of think 15.5 points sounds like quite a bit. And it looks like Zach there said 78-67. So I think I'm going to lean towards Kansas State can cover 15.5 in this game.
Here's my biggest thing is Houston is really, really good at home.
They are.
They're almost unbeatable at home. So
I mean, they are really good at home. I just feel like that's a fairly large spread.
It is. I agree with you.
Especially if this game was 3-4 weeks ago before Kansas State really kind of started playing better.
Mm-hmm.
I would at 15.5. I would have probably went with that. I feel like they have really come on the last couple of 2 or 3 weeks and playing some good ball. I don't think they're going to win this game by any means. I just think they can cover 15.5 points. Houston by far is the better team.
They are.
All right, the next one we're going to go to the Big East, and we got Seton Hall goes to Marquette. Marquette at home is a 9.5-point favorite in this game. Seton Hall is another team that has played really well the last 3 or 4 weeks since conference play began. And a week ago, they were still leading the Big East. You know, they lost by a few points the other night. So I think they're in like second or third of the Big East now. What do you think about this game?
Marquette is really tough to beat at home. You know, Seton Hall's dropped 2 consecutive games. They had a 5-game winning streak. But still, you know, Seton Hall only lost those games by 4 combined points. So it's not like they're getting blowed out.
Yeah, I mean they've been right in games.
They've already played 3. Well, they've already beaten 3 ranked teams this year. Can Marquette be the 4th that they have to walk the plank against? So Tyler Colwick, man, he's an elite pick and roll scorer. Golden Eagles are one of the best efficient 2-point shooting teams in the country. I believe they should and will win this game. But Seton Hall has a fun team, especially, with Kadari Richmond. I'm not even sure. He didn't play, I don't think, the other night. But if he's back, he presents a problem for Marquette. But I bet on Marquette to win this game and cover. And Seton Hall is probably not going to win the Big East, but they are competitive. Shaheen Holloway has done a really good job with them, and I believe they are a tournament team. So, but give me Marquette and for them to cover the
9.5 points.
9.5, yeah.
All this comes from DraftKings, by the way. These spreads, I just got them off of DraftKings probably about an hour ago, 45 minutes to an hour ago. So all of these spreads should be pretty like up to date. I can't guarantee. Things change with spreads, of course. So Zach's got Seton Hall beating them.
No, he picked Marquette. He said Seton Hall beats teams they ain't supposed to.
Well, it says 81-86.
Marquette. He had it backwards.
Okay.
He said Seton Hall beats teams they shouldn't lose to. I don't know. That didn't make no. I don't know. It didn't.
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I don't know, Zach. I don't know what that means, to be honest with you. All right. So Seton Hall has played really well. Like you said, they've lost a couple of games by just a few points here lately. Marquette, man, they are a team early in the season that I really thought could challenge for the Big East. They haven't quite played up to that.
They're just inconsistent at times.
Now, this is at home, and they do play better at home. And they have, guys, I don't know if you guys have watched Marquette this year, but, man, they have 4 guards that will flat get after you on defense.
Most definitely.
And, can turn the ball over and push it up the floor as quick as any team in the country. And in my opinion, this Marquette team should challenge for this Big East. I'm just not sure that they're quite there. There's something kind of off with this team. It's hard for me to say that they will, that they won't win this game because it's at home. I do think that they will win this game. Their guard play is fantastic. And they have one big in the middle, and he does enough inside for them when they play well. I have seen it. So, as much as it's hard for me on this one, but I think I'm going to ride with Marquette and ride with the 9.5 points. But I'm going to tell you right now, Seton Hall has not been losing games by 9.5 points.
They've been pretty close.
Almost all of their games have been, and that's why I really almost want to take Seton Hall, but
Seton Hall, to me, is more like a South Carolina team. They like to play rough, hard-nosed defense. They're just in your face, top pressure. I think they'll give Marquette a really good game tomorrow.
All right, so we got Robert Rhodes. Zach says Marquette. So you was right, I think. He was picking Marquette. And we got Justin here with us talking about general soreness. That's a sore topic for Kentucky fans. I never even heard that before. Now it looks like somebody else is out for general soreness.
Yeah.
Oh, me.
Oh,
You don't even
mercy.
you don't even want to get me started on general soreness. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
boy.
All right. So our next game, we're going back to the Big 12 here. We've got Kansas at Iowa State. And shockingly, through DraftKings, Iowa State is a 3.5 point favorite over Kansas. Yes, Iowa State is that tough at home. Um, John, what do you think about this game?
Well, the Jayhawks are 2-2 on the road. Okay, they've lost to UCF and West Virginia, and they won a 4-point game, a 4-point win over Indiana and Bloomington. And their only one-sided victory was over Oklahoma State. Iowa State's 12-0 at home. They call it the Hilton Magic. They're always dangerous at home. Houston found out just recently, early this month. My biggest thing with Kansas is, man, they're so inconsistent, and for me, that's just too much to overcome. Tomorrow, I'm going to give the edge to Iowa State in this game. The thing that really worries me about Kansas is their lack of depth and 3-point shooting going forward in the NCAA tournament. Where's it going to come from? When you only got one guy, which is Hunter Dickinson, I'm not sure, he might be their best 3-point shooter, but when you only have to depend on one or two guys, there's a problem there. And their depth plays into a big factor. I believe that's what's happened the last two road games where they've lost. Their depth just gets
I've
attacked.
said it all season long since Kentucky played them early on. They don't have any depth. They basically, their fifth player really isn't that great.
If Kansas
players, to be honest,
if Kansas wants to get where they want to go, DeJuan Harris has got to step up. DeJuan Harris has got to be better than what he's been lately. He's just not. He's been kind of off and on shaky the last few games.
Zach, man, I agree with you. Like, it's hard to pick Kansas losing back-to-back games. Like, that's pretty hard to pick. But man, that's a tough.
I can't go against Hilton Magic. So give me Iowa State in 3.5.
I think that's what I'm going to pick too.
Haven't heard Justin Lipsy. I haven't heard if he's out. No, I have not heard. Usually you don't hear nothing until about game time. So
yeah, I don't like the way Kansas has played lately. I mean, they had to struggle at home to beat Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like, that was a struggle win at home to beat Cincinnati.
I'm gonna be honest with you. This is not your normal Kansas team. They're not. I just don't think. To me, they're built for a big Final Four run. I mean, they're good, but they're not great.
I'm gonna be honest with everybody. I mean, I feel like this feels like a round of 32 or a round of 16 team to me with Kansas.
Yeah, it's not your average Bill Self team that makes runs to the Elite Eight, Final Four type thing.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like that kind of team to me. All right, so we're staying in the Big 12. We got Texas Tech going to Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a 4-point favorite at home over this Texas Tech team who has played really well up to this point in the Big 12.
Man, I really like this Oklahoma team. They get after you defensively. They get on the glass, and they're 10-1 at home. I don't expect them to lose two straight here. I think they beat Texas Tech at home, and I think they take care of business in their home building.
So Robert Rhodes says Boomer Sooner. And we got Zach here with us. Zach says, I'll pick OU, but based on I don't know anything about Texas Tech this year. So Texas Tech had been playing really well. They played horrible the other night against, what was it, Houston, that killed them
Mm-hmm.
like about a week ago.
Yeah.
May have been last Saturday. Um, so I'm going to ride with Oklahoma in this one. Texas Tech had been playing pretty well up to that point, but I think I'm going to ride with Oklahoma at home and with the 4 points. Now, this one kind of surprises me too. This is another Big 12 game. We got Texas at BYU, and BYU is a 7-point favorite over this Texas team. And BYU is a 7-point favorite over this Texas team. What do you think about that one, John? So maybe John froze up on me. Okay. Up until that point, I agree with you, but I'm not sure what happened there. But I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate it, Zach. All right. So we got Texas at BYU. Maybe John get back in here. I'm not sure what happened, but I lost John for a minute, looks like. But in this game, man, BYU has got some shooters. They have been ranked for the biggest part of the year here. But so is Texas. They had been hanging around in the bottom, 22, 23, 25. They had kind of been hanging around in the bottom. But BYU has got a really fun team to watch. If you guys have not watched them, check them out. BYU is a really fun team to watch. And now we got John back. I'm not sure what happened.
I don't know what happened. It just froze up all at once. So.
I'm not sure what happened.
But
we got John back. So I'm talking about Texas at BYU. BYU being a 7-point favorite.
I like BYU in this game. Texas has really come on. They played really well the last couple of games. They put themselves back into the NCAA tournament discussion. But I think BYU wins this game at home. I trust BYU more in Provo now. BYU on the road, I don't trust as much, but them in Provo, I do trust because they're really good at home.
They are, I agree with you. They are good at home. I just the 7-point spread on this one again kind of scares me.
It's really.
Zach here says 71-67, which would be 4. I think I'm going to ride with that. I think I'm going to go with Texas covers the 7-point spread. I think is what I'm going to go with this one. The Longhorns have played a little bit better as of the last week or so.
They have. Yeah.
From what they were playing. So maybe they are turning a corner a little bit. They seem like they are kind of putting things together just a little bit. So I'm going to give them a little bit benefit of the doubt here and going to BYU, which is a tough place to play.
Well, and I'll even say road games in the Big 12 have been like the SEC. They've been absolutely brutal, man. It's been really tough to go on the road and win games. I put up a stat the other night that the winning percentage is really low winning on the road now compared to what it used to be.
I mean, I'm going to give you talking about a road stat. I'm going to give you a road stat, okay? The AP top 10, their record on the road versus unranked ranked teams is 17-27. 38% winning percentage.
It's not good.
AP top 10 on the road versus unranked teams.
Well, and I tell you too, what people don't realize is, with the way the times are now, this new generation, social media, the fans, the level of play it's a lot different than it used to be, back in the early 90s. There's a lot more things at our disposal. There's student section, which they were student sections then, but it was not as.
Let me go back. Let me go a little further and tell you that the top 10 versus unranked road victories has never been below 60% before. And right now they're sitting at 38%.
It's tough. It's tough to win on the road. Even as a ranked team, it's tough to win on the road. Against ranked teams.
These are the top 10 ranked teams in the country.
Even against, top 25, it's pretty tough. So,
yeah. All right. So this one, speaking of on the road, for the first time in our little list here this week, we have got a road favorite. Auburn, who's coming off a loss at Auburn, is now going to Mississippi State. Auburn's first loss in the SEC. They're going to Mississippi State, but Auburn is a road favorite here at Mississippi State. We all know it's a tough place to play. What do you think about this game, John?
Man, I like this Auburn team, but right now they just don't even have a quad one win right now. They're really struggling in that department. But other than that, they're a really good basketball team. They got a really good team. I'll say this much. Mississippi State is a really tough environment to play in the hump. Tulu Smith is a really good basketball player in the paint. He probably gets 20 just about every single night. They beat Tennessee. Then they had a chance against Alabama.
And Tennessee at home. They were at home.
They lost back-to-back games to Alabama and Kentucky. But still, they're a really good team at home. And they're hard to play against at home. Josh Hubbard is shooting the lights out of it from three. Josh Hubbard is a really good player. If I'm not mistaken, he's Mississippi Player of the Year, freshman. He's a really talented player.
He's likely to be the sixth man of the year, too.
Could be. Of the year. I'll say this about Auburn on the other side of it. This Auburn team fights. This Auburn team scraps. They was down double digits at Alabama and almost won the game. This is a really good Auburn team. Holloway's really good. Cardwell's playing really good. You know who's actually improved his stock from a year ago that plays for Auburn? Jalen Williams. He's a completely different player than he was when he was at Arkansas.
Oh yeah,
but I'm gonna take Mississippi State in the points. This is going to be a tough environment for Auburn. Back-to-back games against Alabama and Mississippi State. Listen, man, you don't get no easy breaks in the SEC. You go from one extreme to the next. And this is what happens with Auburn. They're seeing their part of the schedule get beefed up here. I do think Auburn wins this game, but I'm going to take Mississippi State in the points. They're really good at home. And they're good defensively at home. Now, when they get on the road, they turn into, I don't know, it's like Jekyll and Hyde. It's two completely different teams. But when they're at the hump, and that place is really going and rocking, the fans are into it, they're a really difficult team to play. Tennessee found that out the hard way.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mississippi State is an absolute tough environment. They win there probably 75% of the time, at least. And I'm talking about in the SEC play. I'm not talking about when they're playing some of these weaker teams, at the beginning of the season and stuff. I'm just talking about in SEC play.
I'll say this on Mississippi State, though. I feel like they need this game more than Auburn does because Mississippi State's, their wins and non-con are not really that impressive. I mean, they have a few good wins, but they're not. They need to stack some quad one wins in some games coming up. And Auburn even needs to get a quad one win.
I want to say something. So we got Zach here with us, and he does stuff with with metrics and the net rankings and bracketology. And you'd mentioned that Auburn does not have.
Wait a minute. I think that's the other guy. This is the Kentucky fan.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about now. I was thinking.
This is a different one. Yeah.
Okay.
I know who you're talking about, though. Yeah.
Yeah. His name's Zach too, so I didn't know. I thought it was him. But I want to say this. So while I was thinking about it, so Auburn has 0 net wins. Okay, net quad one wins. All right. But yet before they lost the other night at Alabama, they were 6th in the net rankings. How do you get to be 6th and have 0 quad one wins?
The net, I tell people this all the time. The net system is very flawed. There's a lot of.
I realized they didn't have any quad 3 or quad 4 losses.
There's a lot of questions with that. So,
but when you have no quad one wins, now
somebody's gonna get a big one Saturday though.
Yeah, one of these teams is going to.
Auburn's going to get their first, or Mississippi State's going to get another one over a top 10 team like they did with Tennessee. So it's a big game, honestly. I think this is an underrated game to watch Saturday.
It is.
I don't think it's the biggest game.
One of the better games.
I don't think it's the biggest game, but
I'm going to take Auburn in this one. But it's not like I really think this is going to be a tough one, man. I think it's going to be a tough one. All right. So our next game we're going to talk about, we're going to go to the ACC, and we've got Clemson taking on Duke in Cameron Indoor, and Duke is a 7.5-point favorite over this Clemson team. Now, Clemson started out great, hit some speed bumps when ACC play started, but they seem to have worked out a few, kinks here lately.
Duke usually, after a loss like they had against Pitt, they usually bounce back and they go for an explosion. And that doesn't bode well, I think, for Clemson. Clemson's defense has struggled on the road. They just can't get stops. And Duke is probably top 10 in Ken Palm in college basketball. I think they score a lot this game. I expect Duke to get enough defense to win this game and cover. I just think Clemson's run into a buzzsaw. And we was talking about Clemson being a 2 seed early in December and November, and now they're hovering around a 10 or 7 seed right now.
I'm going to be honest with you. If they lose too many more of these games, they may not get in. I mean,
they would most likely have to win some games in their conference tournament to even get a shot, to be honest.
This is a game that this Clemson team really needs.
They do. They really do. And even after Duke losing to Pitt, I just don't look for Duke to lose back-to-back games like that. Like
that game,
it's Pitt, tough to.
Pitt is a terrible team, honestly.
Duke just made too many errors. Duke couldn't hit when it mattered.
The Clemson team is way better than Pittsburgh.
Well, let's be fair. Blake Henson put the middle finger up to the Duke section and had 25 points. So, I mean, he had a big night. So, let's give him credit. Blake Henson, and I'm just kidding about the middle finger thing, but he did jump up on the table and scream at the Dukies, but he did have 25 points. He had a really big night. And Pitt was hitting everything coming and going. They was hitting every shot.
The team's got some talent. I mean, you got PJ Hall.
Hunter's on the team. And they got the transfer from Syracuse, Gerard. It's not like there's a lack of talent on this team. It's just they don't don't get stops on the road. The road has been really brutal to them. They don't get stops when they need to get them, and it's been tough the last 3 or 4 games for Clemson. And I think it's going to be tough Saturday. I just think Duke is the better team.
This game, I want to take Clemson in the points. I'll be honest with you. This Duke team, I've just not been overly impressed with.
I haven't either, but then
they look good, and then all of a sudden they look terrible. They look good, and then they look terrible.
It's kind of like a back and forth thing, yeah.
And I'm just, I mean, I'm sorry, but I think Clemson's a better team than Pittsburgh. Do I think Clemson's going to walk in Cameron Indoor and jump up on the table and beat their hind end? I don't know, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think that they can cover 7.5 points, and I think that's what I'm going to take. And they will probably, because they have a few times, like played stinkers, Clemson has. Yeah. So since I picked them, that's probably what'll happen.
Yep. Most likely. Right.
Most likely. All right. So we're going to go back out to the Big 12. We got TCU at Baylor. Baylor's a 5.5-point favorite. What do you think about this one?
Man, this game to me should come down to the final whistle, to the final play. They're not TCU's not as lethal offensively, but I feel like they have a better defense than Baylor. I think TCU's 3-2 on the road. They're not so much pressured on the road. You look at the Kansas game, they played with a lot of intensity. They got a really, really good team. But I think wins this just because they're a more reliable team beyond the arc. But these two teams are evenly matched, I think, which should produce a really, really good game. And I'm not so tempted to make this my upset pick, TCU on the road, because sometimes Baylor has those dud games. You know what I mean? Like the Michigan State game.
Yeah.
It's like they have a really good week, and then all of a sudden, boom, they just have like a really bad dud game. And TCU is really fun to watch. They get after it defensively. All right, I'm tempted. I'm gonna make this my upset pick of the weekend. TCU over Baylor. And for the love of God, fix the camera angles at the Baylor Arena. Like, it's been really bad the last 2 or 3 games that they played there. It's a new setup, it's a new arena, but goodness gracious, man. The setup that they got there, it looks like you're watching it from planet Mars or something. Like it's like high up in the sky, man. Like
I think I'm going to take Baylor at home. I mean, this Baylor team has all the potential, but TCU has been playing really well. So
and they even play better on the road than most teams do. So that shows you that they're well coached. That shows you they're well coached.
Yeah, I agree with you. TCU, their coach is
Jamie Dixon,
Pittsburgh's old coach. Yeah, Pittsburgh's old coach.
He's a really good coach.
It's
like they don't make a ton of mistakes. They just play sound fundamental basketball. And
he's a good coach. Jamie
they should have won the Kansas game. That a flagrant was. I don't know. That was a bad call, but.
All right, so this is the second to last game we're going to talk about. So this one we're going out to the Pac-12. Arizona, this is a road favorite now. Arizona is favored 3.5 points at Oregon. Now,
I don't like Arizona in these games.
Arizona's coming off of a very bad loss to Oregon State. And they're ranked 9th in the country still. They won't be this, after this because they just lost again. But what is going on out in Tucson?
I don't know. I felt like this was what happened last year. They had those little stinkers in the Pac-12 in the regular season, and they just went down the stretch, and then they
Are
lost
they
to
even going
Princeton.
to win the Pac-12?
I think they do eventually when it all boils down to it. I think they do. I just right now, man, you look back at the FAU game does not look as great, which they lost the game, but FAU's not as good as we thought they was going to be. Um, Arizona is
But they have
tempting on
so much
fate.
talent. Have you watched them?
I
They have
have.
so much talent.
They do. It's just like Arizona to me is just not a really good road team. They're
Is it
better at home.
is it like Kentucky? Is it because
I,
they don't play? Is it because they don't play any defense? Is that what
I
it
think
is?
I think that's a lot of it, and I think a lot of it is they rely too much on Love, Caleb Love. I think they put too much pressure on him when they need somebody else to step up and make a basket. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pick Arizona this game, but man, it's deflating to see. Last year they did the same thing, and then they lost to 15 seed Princeton in the first round. And now it feels like they're going over and they're doing the same thing again
I
this
mean,
year.
this Oregon team, John. Both of these teams have the identical record. They're both 14-5.
The biggest issue in this game is Oregon ranks like 305th in the country in rebounds, and Arizona leads, I think, the country in their top five. Board play is going to be huge in this game, and now they're not a great team, but they're good enough to pull the upset, and
Especially at home.
especially at home. So, but give me
Especially at home.
Arizona. But
I
I'm going to
mean,
say this. I'll say this about Arizona. I don't trust them right now. I
they
don't.
certainly haven't been
I
playing well.
did.
I know
When
last weekend they played UCLA, and I started watching that game, and UCLA was killing them. Killing them.
here's the thing about Arizona. I said it. I've repeated myself too many times. They do this every single year. The last 2-3 years, they get really good, and then they just kind of like fizzle out. Like it's alarming, to be honest, concerning if you're an Arizona fan. But they have time to fix all those things and figure it out before March. You don't really play your best ball until you get in the middle of February, in
But
the start
it's
of
so
March.
strange because I feel like Tommy Lloyd has done such a good job out there.
He
But at the
has.
same time, when you really kind of look at the middle part of the seasons, you just kind of scratch your
Well, you
head.
look at the team that they
You
had.
first scratch your head, and you're just like, what's going on out
Well, you look at the team they had. What was it? Back in, was it 16 maybe? No, it was 18, I think. When they had DeAndre Ayton. They was a 3 seed going into the tournament, and Buffalo knocked them off. By Nate Oates was the coach then. They knocked them off in the first round. Like there's been years where we've pumped up Arizona, and it seems like they just choke every single time. Look back at the 2005 season, Illinois, the comeback with Darren Williams and Luther Head and
Yeah.
Brown. Like there's been moments where Arizona just is not good under pressure, but they got time to figure it out. They got time to fix things. It's only
I'm
it's
going to
only
call
mid.
them.
It's
I'm going to
almost
call them a win here in covering this game. But I'm going to tell y'all right now, I am not confident in them, and I really feel like, as far as talent alone, I feel like Arizona is one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the country.
on talent, yes, but
I feel like on talent alone, if you just look at their roster and say, okay, they have a high ceiling, I think they're one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the country.
you could probably slate them in there with Kentucky and others.
You can.
It's just right now there's little hiccups that they find on the road that they got to fix.
Well, I know the other night, first half against UCLA, and UCLA is not a good team, okay? They maybe are starting to figure some things out, okay? But overall, they're not that great of a team. And they couldn't stop UCLA from scoring.
Their defense is what's going to be the end of them if they do
couldn't stop them from scoring.
So
now, late in the game, 10 minutes in, with the game on the line, they made a comeback and beat UCLA 77.
There's a lot of comparisons between Arizona and Kentucky right now, especially defensively and offensively. Both have really good offenses, and both of them have subpar defense. And sometimes you got to fix that stuff if you're going to go far in the tournament.
Yeah. Speaking of, we're going to get to Kentucky here, guys. And, I mean, you can see we're both – I mean, everybody knows John is. We live in Kentucky. We live and breathe Kentucky, to be quite honest with you. Tough game on Tuesday night. I said that at the top of the show. They just – beyond the defense the other night, that was the worst showing of offense that to me that this team has put up.
Here's I think a lot of people got upset because Reed didn't play a lot Tuesday night. Well, Reed wasn't playing
well either, though.
He didn't play. None of them really played well except Reeves.
He didn't play well either, though.
Reeves was probably the only one getting to the rim at ease and making plays. And, I'm going to be honest with you.
And they were bumping the crap out of him, and they didn't call most of them. I get that.
Well, and two, the other side of the equation of this is they got to fix the defense. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's got to be fixed. Now, I will say this. I will take up for Kentucky a little bit. The last couple weeks, the last 2 or 3 games, it's been better than it was early in the year. It's not been great.
Man. Have you been paying – wait a second. Have you been paying any attention at all at inbounds under the basket for Kentucky on defense?
Yeah, it's been really bad. Georgia was bad.
John, I've been a AAU coach from 4th grade all the way through 12th grade, okay? And I'm going to be straight up honest with y'all here. I have not seen that level of atrocious defense on inbounds under the basket under 6th grade.
Here,
I'm going to give you ever.
I'm going to give you my 2 cents. I'm going to give you my 2 cents on this. I'm going to give you my 2 cents on this. What I think some of the problem is, and where the defense is a major problem. But I think what you got on the other side of this is these are freshmen. And I know people say, well, that's an excuse. But no, I think a lot of times these freshmen think they're so talented that they're just going to come out and dominate everybody. And they can play just whenever they want to. And that's not the case.
John, there was a play under the basket on an inbounds. Dillingham is got the guy covered under the basket. He's standing on the block. And there's about 2 seconds in, and he's standing there. And all of a sudden, Dillingham just goes across the lane, and the guy never moves. And they just wait for Dillingham to get out of the way because he just says, okay, opens the door up. They throw a bounce pass into him because he's so wide open, and he hits a layup.
And I'll add a little bit to this. I'm just going to get into my prediction tomorrow. College game day is going to be there. I'm not real sure. I'm not real sure what the crowd's going to be like. I mean, I know it's going to be good, but
it'll be rowdy. It'll
be rowdy. Kentucky. It'll be rowdy.
It's the first time College game day has ever been to Bud Walton Arena.
It'll be rowdy. but you got to think that a lot of Arkansas fans have checked out. They're checked out to a point.
Yeah, but have they checked out when Kentucky's coming to town?
Probably not, but
yeah.
Right now, there's a lot of problems, and that's where I want to get into with this Arkansas group.
If Vanderbilt's coming to town, their fans have probably checked out.
Yeah. I think Kentucky wins this game. I think they cover the spread. Tremont Mark might not even play tomorrow. There's talk that Trevin Brazile might not even play tomorrow. So Arkansas might be shorthanded tomorrow. And if that's the case,
this is not going to help them at all.
Which is not going to help them at all because Mark, to me, is their best player, their best go-to facilitator that gets them points. The biggest issue with Arkansas is they can't defend, they can't shoot, and when they get in a slump, they just get blown out.
All I know is watch Devo Davis have the best game of the season. That's all I know.
and usually, what you do in these cases, you think they're not going to really do much. Then
and
they come out
playing terrible.
Well, and they come out and look like the prime Golden State Warriors. That's just it happens every game.
That is not. You can't say that when every team is doing that to you. When every team's doing that to you, it has something to do with your defense.
That's the common denominator right there.
You can't. If one team every now and then is like going off on you, you can say, oh, well, that happens to us, and everybody gets up, and you can say that. You can get away with it. But for me, you can't get away with saying that.
See,
every single team goes lights out against you.
I'm going to say this, too. I think tomorrow having a Duthiero back will be a big major play. Kevin said it. Will be because he's very tough and he's physical.
But how much does he play? Does he play 8 minutes, 10 minutes? Because I don't feel like
I think he plays quite a bit.
You think so?
Listen, I'll tell you this because Kentucky needs this game. After the way they played Tuesday night, they need to have a get right game, and I think that's what happens tomorrow. This is no slouch to Arkansas, but I'm going to say this, and it might backfire.
This is a game they better not lose. This is a quad 3 game.
This might backfire. This might backfire on me, but this might be the worst Arkansas team since John Pelfrey, and that's saying a lot. So, but I wanted our final buzzer to be on our. Well, we'll do the.
We will.
I see we have 6 minutes. That's why I was trying to.
Yeah. So, listen, guys. To me, there's no excuse for us to go down to Arkansas the way Arkansas is playing. We're talking about a 10-9 team, basically 500 team that has checked out. They have lost numerous games by 20 or 30 points in the SEC since the SEC play started. I mean, Auburn blasted them. Florida blasted them. I mean, they have just been –
South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina blasted them. I mean, they have been getting drilled. There is no excuse whatsoever that this Kentucky team doesn't go in there and handle their business and win by 15 plus, to be honest with you. Especially if Tremont Mark is out and maybe Brazile. If they're out, guys, we should win this game by 25 plus if they're out. And
should at least be another Louisville type game anyways.
I mean,
I don't think they're as bad as Louisville. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying,
they might be without Mark and Brazile.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but
I mean, if they don't have Mark and Brazile, they might be as bad as Louisville.
By the way, Louisville's actually playing better. Actually, they gave Duke a really good game the other night.
They are.
It's not
playing
saying a lot, but it is what it is.
All right, so John, we're going to have a little bit of fun here real quick. We're going to do some player props, some bet props here. So Antonio Reeves, over under, first one is 18.5 points. Do you think he goes over or under 18.5 points tomorrow night in Arkansas at Bud Walton Arena? And by the way, last year when he went to Arkansas, Reeves had 37. His high as a captain.
I think it's over. He's
and the second one there, to me, this one's easy as all get out. 1.5 threes.
I think it's over for both because I think he's going to have a big game tomorrow. He's just a certified bucket right now, anyway.
I mean, I agree with you. He struggled the other night in shooting percentage.
Yeah, but he
was one of the only players that was actually trying to score and carry the team. It was Reeves, Mitchell, and Dillingham. Nobody else showed up on.
It just felt like he was watching a lot of one-on-one stuff, like one-on-one ball.
So I'm going to agree with you on this one. I'm going to take the over on both of these for Reeves. And these are on DraftKings, by the way, guys. The next one, I've got DJ Wagner, points 12.5. And combo is points, rebounds, and assists all together, added up together. So they've got him at 18.5 on combo and 12.5 on points. What do you think for DJ Wagner?
I think under for both. It's hard to judge because DJ Wagner is tricky at times.
He is. I mean, he can have a pretty good game like he did. He had a game before last. He had a double-double with 18 points and 10 rebounds.
It just varies with him.
But last game, he had like 4 points and 3 rebounds and was 2 of 10 from the field. And
I would trust a combo more than I would the 12.5. But
yeah.
But I think under for both of them. I don't. I think he'll get some assists, rebounds, but the points is where I don't think he's going to get as much points in this night than he will.
All right. I mean, I don't feel like that we can go over on all of these. So, I just thought we'd have a little bit of fun here with some of the Kentucky players. The next one is Reed Sheppard. Everybody's wanting to know about Reed Sheppard. People wasn't too happy about his playing time last game, but I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think he played well. And for me, and Cal says this all the time, if you're going to be a liability on the floor, he's not going to play you as much, and he didn't. But I really did. Reed had 2 or 3 bad passes that he don't normally do.
They was just,
and then on top of that, somehow, some way, he missed an absolute wide, open layup. I mean, wide
open.
Failure.
It was all systems failure all the way, all night. It was just there was no energy whatsoever to this team.
So tomorrow night, Bud Walton Arena, over under 9.5 points and over. 2.5 rebounds.
I think he gets the over.
So you're going over on both?
Yeah, I think he'll get it.
So this must be Reeves, 25 points and 3 of 5 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess this is DJ.
DJ. Yeah.
When he says under. And I'm trying to see what Kevin says here. Kevin Thacker. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The experience, is playing a big role, I think, in games like that. That's the South Carolina game. I mean, they're one of the older teams in the country. So, all right. So you're saying you're saying over on both of those, right? For Reed?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's over. I think for sure on rebounds that Reed gets over 2.5 points. Reed really needs to step up his game. I'm going to give you a stat on Reed. Before SEC play, he was averaging about almost 7 3/4, almost 8 shots a game. Since SEC play started in 6 games, Reed's only averaging 4.5 shots a game. Not makes. He's only shooting the ball 4.5 times a game. He's got to pull the trigger and shoot the ball a little bit more. So I'm hoping that tomorrow night against this Arkansas team is where we will see a difference in him and him stepping up a little bit. And I'm going to take the over in both of these as well. The next one I'm going to talk about off of DraftKings is Rob Dillingham. I've got a combo on him, and his points is at 13.5, and his combo is at 18.5.
I think he'll go nuclear tomorrow. He'll have one of those nuclear games tomorrow. But I think he'll go over the 13 points, but he will not do the combo. So,
all right. Well, I mean, you never know with Dillingham. One night he can have 8 points and have eight assists.
mm-hmm.
And then the next night he can have 18 points and 1 assist.
Mm-hmm.
And you just never know with him what you're going to get. But I'll tell you this, in my opinion, he is the funnest freshman to watch. He has all the confidence in the world. I love seeing that. I know that a lot of these Kentucky fans are Reed Sheppard fans, and rightfully so. I'm not saying that anything bad about him. He's played great. But confidence, one-on-one, being able to operate one-on-one and get off shots, I don't think there's anybody better on the team than Robert Dillingham to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the over on these as well, I think. I really think I'm going to take the over on both. Dillingham just really has impressed me. He made a couple of really bad mistakes on defense, especially those inbounds plays. There was 2 of them the other night. But outside of that, man, I mean, he was the only freshman that showed up.
Yeah.
When we were down and we needed somebody to step up, he was the only freshman that stepped up, including Reed Sheppard. When he was on the floor, he wasn't shooting. He made turnovers. But, I mean, Dillingham stepped up, and he was the only one that did. So give me the over on this one. And the last player that we're going to talk about is Trey Mitchell. His over and under on points is 13.5, and his rebounds is 7.5 over and under.
I think he gets over that.
So Zach says Reed is 12 points, which would be over, 2 for 3, 3-point line. I think Mitchell is under on points by just a point or 2 and over on rebounds tomorrow night. I'm going to give Mitchell like 12 and 10. I'm going to give him like a double-double.
Yeah.
And give him like 12 and 10. So I think that's where he's at tomorrow night, and give him about 12 and 10, 12 and 9, something like that. And do the under on points and over on rebounds. I think that's what I'm going to do. All right. So that is our player props. And we just had a little bit of fun with Kentucky game. Maybe next week we'll pick another game and kind of go through player props just for that one game and pick a fun game next week.
Was we going to do our final buzzer thing?
We are.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
We are. That was it on our player props. And John was wanting to do a final buzzer thing on Arkansas. So we will continue to talk about the game, Kentucky and Arkansas, just a little bit on the Arkansas side. So here you go, John.
All I just wanted to say was there's not a lot of chemistry here. There's not a lot of team ball being played. It's a lot of one-on-one stuff, a lot of hero ball. And I'm beginning to wonder what really happened to this Arkansas team. Where did they lose it? And I go all the way back to when they lost to UNC Greensboro. There were a lot of red flags. They went to the Bahamas. They beat Stanford in 2 overtimes. They lost to Memphis in North Carolina, which was understandable there. They beat Duke without Tremont Mark. But then Oklahoma put it to them. And since that time, since Oklahoma beat them, they've been downhill ever since. They got whipped by Auburn. It was the most lopsided defeat in the Bud Walton's 30-year history. Like, it was really, really bad. They lost to Georgia at Georgia. They lost to Florida at Florida. Pretty bad. They did beat Texas A&M on a last-second shot, which in between that
at home, yeah.
At home. They don't offensive rebound. Auburn beat them in the points in the paint, 48-18. They do not offensive rebound whatsoever. They don't do anything well, really. They don't have nothing to hang their hat on. And that's a problem.
I got a question for you while you're on this final buzzer. What has happened to Devo Davis?
That's my question. I don't really know. I think they got talented players. Tremont Mark was from Houston. Devo Davis is a 4-year player.
And Devo Davis put his name in the NBA draft last year and come back. And doesn't look like when he plays that he wants to be there at all.
Here's my another question too. College game day's coming tomorrow, right? They're 1-5, just like when they finished 8-10 last year, but their losses are an average of 20.6. That's not good.
No, they get killed when they lose most of the time.
What gives you hope you can beat Kentucky like you beat Duke? Like, you beat Purdue, which that was an exhibition game. You beat A&M. They just haven't put it together. Maybe Saturday they put it together and they turn into the 85 Houston Cougar. I don't know. I don't know. But right now they just do not have it. There's not a leader on this team. There's just a lot of bad chemistry. I noticed a couple plays late in the game against Ole Miss. I think it was late in the game, like there's maybe 7-8 minutes to go in the game, and they was laughing on the sidelines just while their team's getting their butts kicked on the court. Like, that's a problem. And now you might not have Mark tomorrow. You might not have Brazil. there's
not good signs.
That's not a good sign. Like, here's my take on the whole situation, and I know that
Devo Davis will go off for 40. You watch.
That's the way it usually works. But I don't think this team likes each other. You can tell the way they act.
I told you before we come on the air. For me, I have watched this Arkansas team about 6 times this year. I have not watched every single minute of those 6 games, but I've watched a whole lot of those 6 games. And for me, it's a chemistry. Devo Davis doesn't even look like he wants to be there on the floor. He's a 4-year player at Arkansas. What happened? Like, why is he looking like he doesn't even want to be there? I don't like.
And
it's not like he's a transfer that came in. It's just not working right and all this. That's not the case with Devo Davis. Like, what is missing that he looks sometimes like, just take me out, coach. I don't even want to be here. That's what it looks like.
Well, and the thing too, I tell people, when Devo Davis first got to Arkansas, he had some issues, trying to get evolved into the game. But as more as he grew, he got better and better and better. And now it just looks like that there's no interest whatsoever. There's no energy, no emotion.
Now, tomorrow, College Game Day is going to be there. There may be a couple players out, and Devo Davis may need to take over the game. So, we'll see if he shows an effort tomorrow to do that. I don't know.
Well, and another thing, too, Eric Musselman has been kind of this. There's been one press conference where he walked out on a press conference.
Musselman's kind of a hothead.
He is.
He's kind of a hothead.
He alienates himself from a lot of Arkansas media and people the way he acts.
Well, is some of that happening to the players on the team too?
That probably has a lot to do with it.
I'm just saying that because you watch them play.
Attitude reflects.
Always look like they want to be there.
Attitude reflects leadership, Captain.
Yeah.
Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
Attitude reflects leadership. When your leader is not showing good attitude, everybody else is going to be in a dump.
Yeah.
And that's where I just want to kind of talk a little bit about Arkansas here on our final buzzer because,
I
don't know. Everybody had them.
Kind of an unsafe time to talk bad about Arkansas.
Well, I mean,
we're playing them tomorrow.
Well, it's the fact that there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. I don't know.
Watch, they'll figure it all out tomorrow.
That's the way it usually goes a lot of times. And even last summer, many had Arkansas first in the SEC. Like they had them winning. John Fanta, Big East guy, had them win the national championship.
Yeah,
like had them pick number one in a lot of polls.
Yeah.
So
I know.
It's just it's not. I don't know, but we'll figure it out tomorrow night because either they come out really hot.
I'm hoping they don't figure it out tomorrow night and we whoop them. And if they figure it out later, then that's fine. I don't care.
Here's the big question: either they figure it out tomorrow and they just play prime Golden State, or they just lay down. There's 2 options, and I don't think they're going to lay down.
That's
because I think
really how they have played this year as well. So when they get down, they play lifeless, and teams usually blow them out 20, 30 points.
Yeah, when they get behind 10, 15 points, they're done. Like
they get behind 10 points or so, 10, 12 points. I mean, honestly, they almost play lifeless and they are done. That's the way I've seen them several times do that this year. Now, whether or not that's the way they play tomorrow or not, I don't know. but I have seen that happen several times this year with them. All right. So our next show is Sunday. We're going to do our weekend wrap-up show. I will be doing it on Sunday at 3. John Roberts will be with me, and Jason Harrison will be with me. So we will be doing our Sunday show this week. Last week I was covering the women's game, Kentucky women's game. This week they are playing a road game, so I will not be covering them. So we will do our Sunday show as normal for the weekend wrap-up show at 3 o'clock. So check us out. And this has been College Sportscast Game Day Pick'em. And John and I appreciate you following along.
Zach said great show, by the way.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Zach, I appreciate it. Thank you.
He said we was better than KSR. You believe that?
Yeah.
Hey, if we ever get that big, I mean, hey.
Yeah, hey. Say it loud, say it proud, tell everybody about it. So I appreciate it. We're
better than KSR. We're high. We're high. We got a lot of
Go Cats.
Go Cats.